The story kicks off at Qingyang City's first academy, where a massive pillar of light slices right through the sky. The crowd goes wild when they realize that the star student Su Xiaojing is triggering a crazy anomaly during her awakening. Through it all, the girl stands there, cool as a cucumber. Staring at that holy light which practically screams, overpowered, the students start betting she's going to land a top-tier class. Seeing the light shapeshift into a weapon, the teacher loses his mind, thinking his luck has finally hit the jackpot. Right in the middle of the magic circle, a gigantic fancy sword pops up, glowing like crazy. A second later, a delicate hand grabs the weapon like she owns the place. Inside the light beam, a majestic six-winged angel drops in, holding that massive sword. The teacher is totally floored, realizing it's a legendary class with maxed-out holy stats. He immediately hypes it up for the whole school, announcing that Su Xiaojing just woke up the epic six-winged angel class and scored the holy light sword. Lighting up the whole campus, the angel hovers there looking like an absolute boss. The student body completely loses it, cheering for the most popular girl in school and her insane new power. Watching from the sidelines, Wei Dao has to admit that the girl bagging an epic class is actually pretty awesome. 300 years ago, Earth got linked to secret realms through spatial portals, kicking off a literal nightmare era. Superpowered mutant beasts crawled out of these sketchy places, wrecking everything and causing a ton of casualties. Since then, people figured out how to awaken classes and level up by clearing out those secret zones. Thanks to that, humanity finally stood a fighting chance against the mutant horde. Throwing down with beasts head-on became the #1 way to stay breathing. Broken down into 5 main categories, the classes range from the bottom of the barrel all the way up to epic tier. But there are always rumors about hidden, rule-breaking classes that just ignore the normal ranking system entirely. Our MC Wei Dao is just glad he hit the books hard since he got ice-guyed into this world, putting all his chips on his awakening day. The teacher congratulates Su Xiaojing for being the first person in the city to snag an epic class this year. Bowing her head, the girl says her thanks and promises to keep grinding. Right after, she steps off the stage and walks super close to our MC. Tired of playing second fiddle to him in class all these years, she straight up declares she's gonna prove who the real genius is. The crowd takes the chance to cheer her on, swearing that this time she's gonna leave Wei Dao in the dust. The teacher quickly calls Wei Dao up for his turn. As our guy walks up, his classmates wonder if his perfect grades are going to be enough to beat the school idol's insane pull. Keeping it to himself, the instructor crosses his fingers hoping the kid gets an epic class too, just to put the school on the map. Oozing confidence, our boy steps right into the middle of the awakening platform. Feeling the energy buzz through his veins, he gives the green light to start the process. Declaring his awakening, he clenches his fist and pulls in a bunch of light rays. A crazy blast of wind sweeps the whole area from a massive energy explosion. Shooting up super high, the light pillar wrapping around Wei Dao leaves the crowd completely shook. The sky instantly turns dark with lightning, and the students notice the angel's warm, fuzzy vibes have been replaced by a freezing chill. Freaking everyone out, a massive hooded skull takes shape in the clouds. Around the main guy, a bunch of other creepy skeletons start flying through the sky. Sweating bullets, the teacher admits he's never seen an anomaly this bizarre and asks what on earth the kid is doing. Su Xiaojing gets a chill right down to her bones, even though she knows they're just phantoms. The MC just soaks up that op feeling right in the middle of the dark vortex. Focusing the purple tornado's energy, he prays for a jackpot pull. The shadow current whips around the kid's body like crazy. A massive burst of light pops off, linking all that energy right to the center of the altar. And out of all that hype, a totally basic shovel floats out. Our MC grabs the gear with both hands, looking absolutely bamboozled. Reading the system prompt, the teacher awkwardly announces the kid got the hidden class Undead Summoner, scoring a shovel as his starter gear. A super awkward silence drops over the whole crowd. Then the students completely lose it, roasting him for causing all that drama just to get a glorified gardening tool. Crossing her arms with a smirk, Su Xiaojing figures she definitely won this round. Our guy just stares at his gear, totally convinced the system glitched out to give him such a letdown. He immediately pulls up his own stat menu to see what went wrong. The system shows he's got the Eternal Immortality talent, which lets him stack summons without any cap. Getting hyped, he realizes that unlike other classes, his hidden gig lets him build an entire undead army. Thinking about it, he figures his shovel probably isn't just for digging dirt either. The menu drops the info, burying defeated foes with it dishes out bonus loot. Realizing he gets XP for taking out monsters and extra goodies for putting them in the ground, he cracks a huge grin. Thinking the power must be top tier, the teacher pats the kid's shoulder and asks for a quick showcase. Firing off a summoning skill, Wei Dao holds his hand out. A purple magic circle pops up on the ground, spitting out some electric sparks. A totally basic, fragile, weaponless skeleton stands up in the magic glow. Checking out the creature, the teacher realizes it's a skeleton mage, literally the lowest tier of beast out there. He puts a hand on the summon's head, trying to figure out why a hidden class would make something this flimsy. But with just that little tap, the thing crumbles into a pile of bones. The crowd goes right back to laughing, mocking the fact that the monster couldn't even handle a light poke. Not sweating it at all, Wei Dao just gives a confident little smirk. The teacher tries to make the kid feel better, saying a low-level mage obviously isn't gonna be a tank. Right then, our guy just casually snaps his fingers at the sky. A whole bunch of purple magic circles pop up all at once up above. Spooked by the literal rain of skulls dropping around them, the teacher takes a step back. The summoner points out that things get a lot more interesting when he calls the whole squad at once. Standing in front of a glowing legion of the undead, he asks how anyone is supposed to deal with all that. The skeleton crew lines up looking epic, just waiting for the word. Looking at that insane number of units, the students are completely speechless. Sweating buckets, Su Xiaojing finally gets that this guy's whole gimmick is just overwhelming numbers. The teacher smiles, totally pleased, figuring this has to be the unique perk of the hidden class. Keeping the good vibes going, the instructor assures Wei Dao he's got a bright future, even with the goofy starter weapon. Then he asks the kid to pack up his spooky friends so they can finish the ceremony, which he does right away. While storing the army, our MC thinks about how everyone assumes he only calls normal skeletons, but he saw something else on that altar. During the anomaly, a mythical skeleton dragon showed up too, guaranteeing he's gonna add that beast to his roster sooner or later. An hour goes by and the Academy ceremony finally wraps up. Congratulating everyone who successfully awakened, the teacher calls it a day. He lets them know they're all heading to the beginner dungeon tomorrow morning to level up, and the top scorers are getting rewards. Walking through the courtyard, Wei Dao thinks it's a sweet deal he gets to level up and grab extra points while doing it. Meanwhile, the students huddle up in little groups outside, planning their strategies. Taking his shot, one guy walks up to Su Xiaojing and asks to team up for tomorrow's test. Having zero patience, she shoots him down instantly and tells him to get out of her way. Ignoring the dude completely, she turns around and yells for Wei Dao to hold up a sec. Our MC stops walking and asks what's on her mind. Keeping it real, Su Xiaojing says today's showcase didn't prove who's best, challenging him to a rematch in the dungeon. With his shovel on his back, our guy accepts instantly, but immediately starts trash-talking, saying she doesn't stand a chance. Ticked off by his cocky attitude, the school idol tells him he's full of it. Trying to white knight for her, the rejected guy pulls out a shiny sword, triggered by how Wei Dao talked to her. Threatening to break our MC's leg so he misses the dungeon, the dude charges, but the attack gets casually blocked by the shovel. Right then, Su Xiaojing steps in, calling the sword guy Qian Zhao, and tells him she doesn't need a bodyguard because she's gonna win fair and square. Backing off super salty, Qian Zhao says he's only letting it slide for her sake, warning our guy to watch his back tomorrow. The warrior drops one last threat, swearing he'd put the summoner in the hospital for a month if it was up to him. Completely unbothered, Wei Dao just nods and tells him to bring it on. The next day, the students get shipped off to a heavily guarded military base. The place is the official testing ground, hosting all the training dungeons. In the middle of the crowd, the kids are super hyped about the first exam, gossiping about the region's 3 secret realms. One of them agrees but complains that newbies are stuck in the weakest zone, wishing they could check out the cooler spots. While waiting for the rules, Su Xiaojing walks up to our MC again. She asks if he's flying solo or squatting up, and he states the obvious: he's a one-man army. Happy with that, she promises she's running solo too, just so he can't use his teammates as an excuse when he loses. Suddenly, an instructor on a platform grabs the crowd's attention, shouting at the students. Using a megaphone, the guy breaks down the rules. The test is 8 hours long, and hitting level 3 scores you bonus points. Locked in on getting the top grade, the kids pay close attention. Plus, the instructor drops that taking out tougher beasts drops better loot, kicking off the test right after. Waiting for the players, the massive spiral portal to the Barren Plains dungeon glows like crazy. Not wasting a single second, the mob of students scrambles like mad toward the magic vortex. Taking his sweet time in the back, Wei Dao finds his classmates' try-hard energy hilarious. Standing at the rift, our guy decides he should probably pretend to care a little bit. Right after stepping through, our MC finds himself in a super bright green grassy field. Checking his surroundings, he realizes he's totally alone and guesses the portal scatters everyone. While looking around, a weird noise in the grass catches the summoner's attention. He quickly spots a prairie marmot, noting that the weakest mob in the game looks pretty harmless. But out of nowhere, the little furball opens its mouth and lets out a crazy screech. Caught off guard by the sudden mood swing, the kid covers his ears, wondering why the thing went feral. In a split second, the marmot launches itself right at his face, catching him off guard with that speed. Unable to dodge, our MC takes the unexpected tackle from the wild critter head-on. The beast bites down on his clothes hard, but he just stares at it looking insanely bored. Cold as ice, he watches the little monster hang off his shoulder without even flinching. Running out of patience, the kid grabs the marmot by the neck and tells it to get off his arm stat. Holding the thing in the air, he roasts it, asking who it thinks it is trying to ambush him. Then he chucks the beast to the dirt and punts it, sending the little guy flying across the field. After that solid hit, the marmot rolls through the grass whimpering. Checking his gear for damage, the MC admits if he hadn't reacted, that bite would have actually done some damage. Not taking any chances, he snaps his fingers, letting the beast know it's about to find out. Spooky energy floods the area as a creepy skeleton mage spawns in. Right after, dozens of other skulls pop out of the dirt all at once, turning the sunny plain into a horror movie. A squad of 50 level 0 mages lines up fast, just chilling and waiting for the boss to give the word. Pointing straight at the terrified marmot, Wei Dao tells his crew to cleanse the area. Taking the order, the mages unleash a brutal volley of fireballs right at the single, tiny target. The combo attack triggers a massive explosion, kicking up a ton of dirt and totally wrecking the landscape. When the dust clears, the little critter is extra crispy on the ground as its soul checks out. The system instantly pings him, handing over a grand total of 10 whole XP for the level 0 takedown. Looking at the payout, the summoner gets annoyed, realizing at this rate it'll take him 1,000,000 years to hit level 3. Then he remembers he's got an entire army, so he might as well let them do the heavy lifting. Taking them off their leashes, he tells the skeletons to sweep the map and wipe out any monster they see. Miles away from the action, a nice hot cup of tea is casually served on a fancy wooden table. Inside a boardroom, the directors are chatting, and one asks if Old Man Wang actually thinks he's gonna take the W. Holding his cup like a total snob, the head of the First Academy says victory is in the bag. The rival sees how smug the old guy is, and admits his school did pull off a miracle with that epic class student. Right then, a third guy chimes in, reminding everyone that Wang's school also spawned a hidden class. Hearing the news, the rival director does a massive spit take with his tea. Totally mind-blown, Old Man Meng asks if they're pulling his leg. Looking smug as heck, Wang confirms it, saying he can't wait to watch his kids farm those elite beasts. While the boomers chat, the dungeon is turning into an absolute war zone, with marmots getting blasted left and right. Amidst all the magic spam turning the green field to ash, monster bodies are flying everywhere. Running the show, the skeleton mob sets the whole place on fire, turning a chill pasture into the underworld for these beasts. Laying in the grass, Wei Dao is loving how awesome this setup is. While our guy is literally taking a nap, his XP bar is going crazy. He is completely sold on the AFK leveling strat, figuring this is the best perk of his hidden class. But realizing he can't just sleep all day, the summoner decides to test drive his little iron shovel. Making moves, our MC walks up to a monster's remains to bury it and see what drops. He starts digging right away and tosses dirt over the beast. In a few seconds, the low-level mob is completely 6 feet under. Finishing the manual labor, the kid wipes his forehead and lets out a big sigh. Hyped about his handiwork, he waits to see what kind of bonus loot he scored. New items pop up glowing over the fresh grave as the system hands over the goods. Checking his inventory, the kid sees he got a rusty bracelet, some incense, and a dark vial of corpse oil. A bit sketched out, the student picks up the incense, wondering what the deal is with these creepy items and their edgy names. Even if it's weird, he pops the item right away to see what it actually does. Out of nowhere, a massive wave of XP floods his screen. Thanks to the sudden boost, Wei Dao dings level 2 and is absolutely thrilled. A glowing notification on his HUD makes it official. Pumped about the results, our MC points out that farming XP like this is just plain broken. Then he grabs the dark vial to test drive his second grave reward. Slapping the juice onto his hand, the kid instantly gets a buff to his physical stats. Loving the power spike, he sees the strategy is totally legit and decides to go all in. Without a second thought, the summoner dumps the whole bottle on himself, stacking buffs like crazy. With energy pumping through his veins, the student is hyped about how jacked he feels. Checking the numbers, he sees the buff only lasts 10 minutes, but admits it's a seriously solid boost. Riding the high, the kid sprints across the plains with his shovel ready, focused on digging more holes. Suddenly, an alert pops up saying his skeleton mage count just dropped by 1. Caught off guard by distant explosions, the MC tries to figure out who is messing with his squad. A massive ticked-off wild boar comes charging in, absolutely bodying his mages with heavy hits. The system flags the beast as a level 3 elite monster, and it is flexing hard. Wei Dao realizes instantly that his basic skeletons are getting stat-checked by this absolute unit. The giant pig lets out a terrifying roar, letting him know playtime is over. Going totally aggro, the beast charges head-on, using its massive tusks like battering rams. The charge kicks up a dust storm, and our guy realizes he just pulled aggro. The summoner starts running for his life, yelling at the giant pork chop to back off. But the wild beast just hits the gas, screaming right on his heels. Feeling the heat, the kid digs his heels in and kicks up some dirt. Spinning to face the boss, he throws his hand out to cast and tells his crew to tank the hit. The skeletons jump in to peel for their boss, but they get absolutely shredded by the charge. Even though they got wiped, the bone shield eats a lot of the momentum, slowing the beast down. Dropping to one knee, Wei Dao sighs in relief that he brought enough fodder to avoid taking actual damage. Getting back up, the student flares his dark aura and spams another mass summon. He totally surrounds the monster, realizing the big guy hits like a truck but has the turning radius of 1-2. Boxed in by the shadow mob, the giant beast roars, trying to find a way out. Knowing the mob is wide open on its flanks, our guy capitalizes on the mistake. On his mark, dozens of skulls unleash fire all at once, setting off a massive explosion right on the target. Unable to tank the massive DPS, the elite boss finally drops for good. The victory loot drops immediately, hitting our guy with a sweet golden light beam. The system pops up, handing him a set of elite leather armor and listing the buffs. Totally amazed by his RNG, the kid is super hyped to score such high-tier gear right away. He slaps the shiny armor on instantly, watching his defense stats shoot way up. Feeling like a boss again, our MC grabs his magic shovel, ready for round 2. Not wanting to waste a giant carcass, the summoner starts digging to farm some premium drops. He finishes the grave, and 2 glowing orbs pop out of the fresh dirt. A little salty, the kid complains about the low drop rate, remembering the marmot gave him more stuff. But the glow fades to reveal floating skill books, and his mood does a complete 180. The HUD shows he scored Mystic Tomes for Phantom Fire and Boar Summoning. Grinning ear to ear, the kid apologizes to the dead pig, thanking it for being such a loot piñata. Holding the books, he does the math and figures his current mana pool can spam over 10 of those giant beasts. With just a thought, the items vanish, locking in his brand new skills. Purple fire dances in his hand the second the system confirms the skill upgrade. Itching to test his new toys, Wei Dao casts on the ground to call in his newest buddy. Out of the dark summoning circle, the giant beast respawns made entirely of bones, letting out an angry roar. The system confirms the new pet kept all its elite tier stats. The kid is hyped about his beefy new tank, knowing his XP farming is about to go into overdrive. Suddenly, a sharp beam cuts across the area next to him and sets off a huge explosion. Blown away by the damage output, our MC peeks over his shoulder to see who's throwing hands. A bit farther away, a bunch of students are yelling at each other in front of a giant turtle they just found. Annoyed by the kill stealers, one kid demands answers, saying his squad claimed the mob first. Acting like a total snob, Qian Zhao basically says might makes right and tells them to deal with it. Hiding behind a tree, Wei Dao watches the drama and realizes the dude is only carrying because of his pay-to-win gear. Done talking, the warrior waves his shiny sword and tells the peasants to step aside. The shockwave sends the kids flying, giving them zero chance to block. Using the chaos, the giant turtle turns around and starts booking it out of there. Spotting the escape attempt, the bully charges up a finisher, swearing the thing isn't getting away. But before he can drop the nuke, a swarm of skeleton mages pop out of the bushes looking for a fight. Following orders, the spooky squad unloads on the turtle, stealing the kill in the most epic way possible. Completely baffled by the random explosion, Qian Zhao screams, demanding to know what just happened. With the successful steal, Wei Dao gets hit with the system's level up light, dinging level 3. Raging hard, the warrior trash talks the MC, asking how he had the guts to swipe his farm. Keeping a straight face, our guy lies through his teeth, saying it was a glitch and his pet went rogue. The bully isn't buying it, calling him out for griefing and readies his weapon for some payback. Wasting no time, Qian Zhao launches a massive golden energy wave, telling the summoner to eat his sword. Backed into a corner, Wei Dao holds his hand out and says he's gonna parry that. Right on cue, a wall of bone mages steps in front of the attack to take the hit for the boss. But the spell hits like a truck, shattering the whole squad at the exact same time. Watching his summons get deleted, our MC sighs at the outcome. He admits that was a close call, glad the fodder soaked the damage so he didn't lose HP. Freaking out in the back, the other students notice the summons have 0 defense and think the kid is doomed. Knowing he's got the moral high ground, Wei Dao warns the warrior that he swung first, so whatever happens next is on him. A ton of purple magic circles pop up from the dirt as the kid orders a ruthless counterattack. Giant bone boars spawn in screaming and get the green light to trample the guy. Charging in blind with rage, the cocky kid calls our guy an idiot, saying all those bones are useless anyway. But the giant summoned pig intercepts him, clashing right against the shiny sword. Totally stunned, Qian Zhao is shook, wondering how a wall like that even exists. Taking the free hit, the massive bone beast screams right in the dude's face. Then the pig delivers a brutal headbutt, sending the sword guy flying backward. The impact launches the cocky kid into the air with 0 chance to parry. Right after, the stampede of bone beasts bulldozes the area, flattening everything in their path. Totally wrecked, the warrior hits the dirt screaming in pain. Before he can even stand up, the giant hoof steps on his face, deleting any hope of a comeback. The finisher punts Qian Zhao into the air, dropping his loot everywhere. Completely terrified, the rest of the students can't believe how broken those summoned mobs are. Looking at the spectators, the MC casually suggests they carry the bully to the medbay before things get worse. The kids agree immediately, just thankful they get to walk away in one piece. They grab their knocked-out buddy and sprint across the grass for their lives. Left alone, Wei Dao stretches, looking super happy, and announces it's time for his favorite part, the funeral. Checking out the giant dead turtle, the summoner figures a boss that big is gonna drop some insane loot. Then a sketchy shadow drops from the sky, catching his attention. A slimy thing splats on the ground, kicking up dirt and scaring our guy into stepping back. The HUD tags it as a level 5 boss, the Divider Slime. Hyped by the surprise spawn, the kid thinks it's awesome he ran into a mini-boss this early. Getting ready to brawl, the giant blue jelly starts bubbling aggressively. Spotting the danger, Wei Dao instantly realizes the thing is packing acid magic. Without flinching, he chucks purple fire, ordering a ghost strike on the boss. The monster's acid bubbles hit the deck, melting the grass in a second. Seeing the damage, the MC realizes if he takes a hit, he's gonna end up a skeleton just like his pets. Charging up, the slime boss glows bright, prepping an AoE attack. Our guy counters by popping his purple aura and telling his mages to go all out. Following orders, the skeleton crew spams fireballs like a machine gun. The spells crash midair, creating a crazy explosive duel between fire and acid. But the shield has gaps and some acid tags a mage, melting it instantly. Seeing his unit get deleted that easily, he knows the mage's defense won't hold up. Switching strats, the kid calls in the heavy cavalry, betting it all on their HP pools. Leading the charge, the giant boar lands a critical hit right on the jelly's core. The smash shatters the slime into a bunch of tiny pieces, splashing goo everywhere. Sure he got the kill, the student celebrates, thinking his combo did the trick. But the slime shows off its gimmick, splitting into 2 angry clones, proving the boss fight isn't over. The clones start pulsing, charging up again looking super mad. Multiplying even more, the mini jellies prep a massive acid bubble barrage. Reading the boss's playbook, Wei Dao remembers the wiki says slimes clone themselves when they take heavy burst damage. The summoner smirks, bragging that cheese strat might work on noobs but not him. Flexing his mana, he throws his arms out and declares that swarming the enemy is exactly his brand. The slime squad acts fast, shooting a literal storm of acid at him. Reacting quick, the MC tells the boars to hold the front line and tank the hits. The giant bone tanks eat the acid damage, working as the ultimate meat shield for the backline. Using the cover, Wei Dao parks the mages in the back and tells them to spam attacks without stopping. A firestorm takes over the sky, completely glassing the slime side of the map. The crazy explosions wipe the field, giving the jealous 0 room to dodge. Right after, the golden light beam announces the boss kill just power leveled him straight to level 7. Staring at the loot explosion, the kid hypes up the insane pile of gear on the ground. Checking the low-level weapons and potions, he figures he can flip all of it on the market for a fat stack of cash. Being practical, he whips out a massive duffel bag and starts hoarding all the drops. Zipping up the loaded bag, the kid grins, promising himself he's gonna be a total loot goblin. Suddenly, the system pings that the timer is up and starts the teleport sequence. The student starts glowing, complaining that the raid ended way too fast. In a flash of light, the kid gets sent back to the hub, hugging his precious loot bag. Outside the base, a bunch of other students pop back in, totally shocked at how fast time flew. Wei Dao steps out of the portal zone looking salty, muttering that he was just getting started. Nearby, the kids are just glad they didn't get wiped and start hyping up Su Xiaojing's insane carry potential. Eavesdropping, our MC agrees that soloing a mob wave proves the angel class is actually busted. Right then, one of his classmates runs up, saying he's been looking for him everywhere. The chubby buddy named Zhang Dan runs up totally hyped, asking what level the MC managed to hit. Wei Dao guesses his buddy hit level 5, finding it funny. The guy says that's Major Cap and he'd get a statue if he actually pulled that off. Flexing hard, he brags about hitting level 4 and asks if our MC doesn't think that's top-tier gameplay. The summoner hypes up the W, saying those bonus points are in the bag, super pumped. Zhang swears he'll be the MC's bodyguard from now on. While chilling outside, the duo spots someone pushing through the crowd. Zhang notices the school idol is back on her nonsense and tells his bro to chill, saying he'll handle her. Out of nowhere, a hand grabs the chubby kid's shoulder from behind with a crazy grip. With zero chill, Su Xiaojing shoves the guy, telling him to get out of her way right now. Caught totally off guard, the kid trips over his own feet and faceplants hard on the pavement. Ticked off by the random toxicity, Wei Dao grabs his magic shovel and warns her he won't go easy just because she's a girl. The warrior girl charges in mad, throwing a heavy strike, and claims she just wants a real 1v1. Showing crazy skills, the kid blocks the heavy hit with the handle of his gear, sliding backward to eat the momentum. The heavy clash of weapons kicks up dust and blasts a shockwave right into the crowd of spectators. Refusing to back down, the girl winds up another glowing strike, but our guy just yawns and tells her she's moving in slow motion. Casually parrying the energy blade, the MC trolls her, asking if that weak swing was really her ultimate attack. Shook by the perfect parry, the idol pops her scanning skill, totally clueless on how he tanked her heavy hit so easily. The scan drops the system spoilers, leaving the girl absolutely flabbergasted when she sees he speedrun to level 7. Their weapons clash and bounce off, while she gets super salty realizing she grinded non-stop and only hit level 6. Punishing her lag, the heavy metal shovel stops just an inch from the girl's neck. Completely owning the moment, Wei Dao looks at his rival and asks why she didn't even try to dodge the counter. Dropping her hands and taking the L, Su Xiaojing takes a breath and admits moving was pointless since he clapped her again. She turns her back, telling him to check his ego, and swears they'll settle the score for real at the final exam. Watching her storm off, the kid scratches his head, agreeing she's a total knockout, but thinks all this try-hard energy is super annoying. Thinking it over, he admits that hitting level 6 in a tutorial zone on day 1 proves she actually has god-tier stats. Then our MC gives a sketchy smile, remembering that the rich kid from the Cayenne family was a literal free XP farm. Dusting himself off, Zhang walks up and complains that his bro should've dropped his level in chat earlier, so he wouldn't have embarrassed himself. Absolutely ruthless, the summoner replies it's not his fault his chubby friend tried to white knight for the hottest girl in school and got bodied. Switching topics, the kid says he's got some urgent quests to turn in, ditching his buddy to fly solo. Walking through the back alleys with a massive loot bag, the guy finally reaches his destination. Posting up outside a massive trading hub, he focuses on flipping his dungeon drops for quick cash. Suddenly, a super sketchy dude slides up to Wei Dao and whispers, asking if he wants to buy some premium gear. Meanwhile, a fancy luxury car is cruising smoothly down the street in the afternoon sun. Driving the car, the genius girl's dad checks the rearview, sees her looking miserable, and asks what's ruining her vibe. Staring out the window looking dead inside, the student wonders if all her grinding is just a waste of time. Stressed about his kid, the dad tries to hype her up, saying she's the absolute goat of the whole academy. Even with the pep talk, Su Xiaojing grips her arm and vents that she still got folded by Wei Dao this morning. Seeing how crushed she is, the dad offers to go intimidate the kid and teach him a lesson so he stops griefing their family. The girl rejects the carry instantly, stating firmly she's gonna grind and beat the guy on her own merit. She uses the chat to drop a warning that the summoner roughed up the Cayenne family kid, asking her dad to run interference when the rich snobs try to get payback. The rich dad laughs out loud and agrees, but secretly plans to run a background check on this cocky noob. Back at the market entrance, the hustler swears his prices are the best in town, but our MC rejects his offer to buy his loot. The guy suggests doing the trade off-market to save time, which immediately tips the kid off that he's dealing with a scammer. Playing dumb and thumping his chest, the merchant introduces himself as Old Man Zhang, swearing he's famous for honest trades. Ignoring the guy's yapping, the kid just drops his heavy loot bag on the concrete and tells the NPC to appraise the whole stack. When he unties the rope, a crazy golden glow lights up the street, leaving the scammer completely shook. Checking out the pile, Zhang pulls out an enchanted sword and hypes up the level 5 gear, while the kid asks for a price check on the 25 items. The merchant does the math in his head real quick and lowballs him with 15,000 for the whole drop. Proving he isn't a total noob, the MC holds up his fingers and demands at least 20,000 to close the deal right there. Moving insanely fast, the scammer grabs both of the kid's hands, locking in the trade before he can back out. The kid just stares at his hands, realizing he totally got played and should have asked for way more gold. Stuffing the items into his inventory, the merchant guesses the kid goes to the first academy because of the loot, and Wei Dao just nods. Smooth talking, the guy pulls out a spatial pouch and tries to upsell him, saying the extra inventory slots will be clutch for the big exam. Already eyeing the utility of the bag, the summoner asks the price to see if the microtransaction is worth it. The hustler uses his maxed charisma, claiming market price is 50,000, but he'll drop it to 30,000 just to hook a bro up. Knowing the guy is a professional scam artist, our MC points right in his face and slashes the price in half, offering 15,000. The seller takes the counteroffer instantly and whips out his phone with the QR code, saying all sales are final. The phone buzzes, confirming the transfer, wrapping up the chaotic street deal. Holding his brand new bag, the kid feels the weight of the moment and realizes he just got scammed by the guy all over again. In a rundown part of town, a gray-haired old man hands some keys to a woman, saying he's only renting the place for 1 month. The landlord says thanks, telling him he can just ditch his stuff when he leaves, while the sketchy grandpa just nods, looking dead serious. The old man sighs, thinking about his quest, feeling like the boss is going overboard sending a high-level guy like him just to stalk some noob. In that same rough neighborhood, Wei Dao is chilling, walking down the dirt roads to his apartment, and bumps into a really pretty woman. The neighbor, Wu Xinyu, turns around and greets the kid super hyped when she sees he's back. The guy waves back politely, while she gossips that she heard he awakened and ranked #1 at school today. Unable to hide her hype, she runs up and gives the kid a massive bear hug from behind, leaving him totally frozen in the street. Holding the hug, the woman says in a sweet voice that now she's got the perfect excuse to hand over the gift he's been waiting for. Xinyu leans in and whispers in his ear to close his eyes while she gets the surprise ready. Blushing hard, the summoner starts overthinking the widow's lonely vibe, wondering if she's looking for some company after her husband passed away. Completely ruining the mood he just made up in his head, she lets go fast and pulls out a little wooden box, giggling. The kid takes the item super carefully, staring at her, totally clueless about what the gift is supposed to be. The glowing HUD pops up, explaining that the bone finger in the box buffs undead units and grants a temporary shadow transformation. Getting super sad, the widow explains the item belonged to her late husband, who is also a summoner, and she thinks the artifact is why he got taken out. She hands it over, begging him to get payback for her murdered husband, and Wei Dao instantly gets that this quest requires him to play detective. Staring at the wooden box, the kid realizes the buffs from the bone are top tier, but the aggro attached to it is super real. Weighing the insane risk against the chance to get jacked, his hesitation vanishes and pure loot goblin greed takes over his eyes. Holding the cursed item, Wei Dao figures big risks mean big drops. Seeing as the neighbor always had his back, he decides to carry her through this quest. Looking absolutely locked in, he promises the widow hell put his back into it. Relieved by his answer, Wu Xinyu gives the student a massive hug and says thank you, squished in the hug. The kid thinks he hasn't even done anything yet. Letting out a huge sigh, the woman says just accepting the quest is a massive carry. After that, our guy waves goodbye and says he's gotta go AFK in his room. The second he steps into his apartment, the heavy wooden door slams shut behind him. Chilling on the couch, the kid stares at the bone finger on the table, totally sure the thing is bad news. Instantly, the summoner flexes his hand, dropping some purple magic, deciding to test drive the item's buffs. A dark aura wraps around the kid the second he triggers the undead transformation. Out of nowhere, a super creepy wave of energy blasts through the room with a blinding flash. The system confirms the spell is active, warning him that staying in this mode drains 1% of his total XP every minute. Turned completely into a skeleton wearing normal clothes, the kid looks at his hands, absolutely blown away by his massive stat boosts. Super hyped about the broken buffs, he figures the spell upgrades his character model in every single way. Reaching down towards his pants, the guy tries to check if his most important equipment got buffed too. But the skeleton student starts crying when he realizes the magic didn't upgrade the one part he actually cared about. Grabbing his own skull, he begs the system to revert him right now, screaming he is never using this garbage spell again. The magic cancels and gives him his human body back, leaving the kid sweating and crying tears of joy that his original hardware is intact. Watching the purple fire fade, the summoner breathes a sigh of relief, realizing he can toggle the skill on and off whenever. Scratching his head, the guy notices the spell totally nuked his XP bar in just a few seconds. Suddenly, his thoughts get interrupted by some heavy knocking at the front door. Confused about who it could be, the student turns his head and yells asking who is out there. But the hallway is dead quiet, giving the kid zero response. Walking super slow to the door, he demands an answer, wanting to know why the NPC is giving him the silent treatment. The doorknob slowly turns and the door creeps open with a seriously creepy creak. A massive shadow with glowing eyes pops up in the dark, calling the kid's name in a super edgy voice. Spooked, Wei Dao thinks he's getting jump-scared by a ghost and throws a panic punch right at the creepy face. The fast jab hits dead on, but the mystery guy just catches the punch like it's nothing. Acting way too chill, the old guy tells the kid to relax, saying he's just the new neighbor who moved in. The boomer actually compliments the kid's reaction time, mentioning he's exactly who the young miss is keeping tabs on, while our guy apologizes for the random aggro. Happy with the quick vibe check, the white-haired dude says he just came to say hi and casually turns around to leave. Locking the door, Wei Dao thinks the whole interaction was sketchy as heck and wonders who this young miss even is. The next morning, a random bird flies through the sunny sky over the school courtyard. The main hub fills up fast with hyped students grouping up in front of the giant digital leaderboard. In the crowd, the girls are gossiping, super excited that today is the day the exam rankings drop. Su Xiaojing walks right up to our MC demanding to know how he cheesed his way to level 7, but he just casually says he farmed a boss and some elites. The school idol goes wide-eyed and super salty, claiming there's zero chance a noob solos a dungeon boss that fast. Up on stage, Principal Wang grabs the mic and announces the server's top players. The glowing screen shows Wei Dao sitting at rank 1, listing the crazy boss kills that completely validate his level 7 flex. Pulling her own hair, the warrior girl has a total meltdown, realizing her rival wasn't capping about his stats. The rest of the server is shook by the hidden class's stats, and someone leaks that the kid even bodied that arrogant Qian Zhao in the dungeon. Flexing hard, the principal announces Su Xiaojing took second place by soloing a Wolf King and hitting level 6. Staring at her rival's back, the girl swallows her pride and respects the grind, but swears their 1v1 is far from over. Acting super cocky, the summoner just glances over and taunts her, saying his DMs are always open for a rematch. Wrapping up, Wang reminds the server they've got 29 days until the big state exam, telling them to keep grinding till the main event. Ignoring the lobby chat, our MC walks off by himself, totally tunnel-visioned on maxing out his stats. With the clock ticking, the guy speeds up, heading straight for the dungeon hub to power level. On the bounty boards, a bunch of guild quests are offering insane gold for elite monster drops. Checking the board, he sees the payouts are massive, but totally vetoes going back to the boring Green Plains map. Looking for some real aggro, the kid taps the screen and locks in a run to the high-level orc zone. Walking through the main lobby, our guy joins the other tryhards gearing up around the giant blue fast travel portals. Confident in his gear, he walks into the rift, totally sure this map is the perfect stat check for him. A bright flash wraps around the kid, loading him straight into the sketchy secret realm. Spawning in a dense forest, the MC thinks the map is way too chill and suspects it's not as hardcore as the forums said. Some low-level ambient mobs watch the humans spawn in, just vibing in the grass between the giant trees. Not falling for the bait, the kid pops his dark aura to summon his squad, knowing the mobs in this zone love to gank in groups. Hiding in the canopy, red-eyed beast mobs track the spooky army's movements on the ground. A massive werewolf drops from the shadows with its claws out, trying to one-shot the player out of nowhere. Spotting a second mob rushing in, the kid trash-talks their cheap camper strats. Totally bored by the predictable AI, he casts a heavy purple spell, asking if every dungeon mob just spams the same jump-scare attack. The phantom fire tags the beast midair, making it scream as the burn damage melts its HP bar. The heavy impact slams the monster into the dirt, breaking its bones and kicking up a dust cloud. The system logs the quick kill on a level 1 gnoll, dropping 25 XP straight into the kid's account. Chilling behind his bone shield, the player scans the dark woods, knowing the rest of the aggroed mob is probably camping for an opening. Proving him right, dozens of raging beasts jump out of the bushes, swarming him to avenge their buddy. With a totally deadpan face, the summoner gives himself a pat on the back for the read, while his mages prep the countergank. With zero chill, Wei Dao raises his hand and tells his squad to nuke the ugly mobs back to the lobby. A barrage of fireballs snipes the enemies mid-jump, turning them to ash before they even hit the floor. The AoE spam clears the whole map of level 3 gnolls, making the kid's XP bar skyrocket. When the smoke clears, a massive pile of crispy mobs is lagging the server, leaving a serious burnt smell everywhere. Casually resting his shovel on his shoulder, the guy celebrates his RNG for pulling a massive mob wave right at spawn. Hyped about the loot drops, he stabs the shovel into the dirt, swearing he's gonna dig perfect graves for every single one of them. 10 minutes of grinding later, the shovel is resting on the grass surrounded by a ton of glowing loot boxes. Sitting down to regen stamina, the kid checks the UI, seeing a bunch of corpse oils, incense, and a rare skill manual. Holding the eyeball rune, the guy is stoked to realize he just pulled an ultra-rare system scanning spell. Totally pumped about the shiny book, he keeps celebrating, knowing that wall hack magic is gonna be insanely broken. Hyped about the drop, Wei Dao cheers that this free skill just saved him a fortune at the vendor. Checking his giant boar, he realizes his recent XP farm is almost enough to upgrade his bone tank again. Wanting to skip the grind, the kid opens his little wooden box and pulls out the creepy bone finger. Jamming the cursed item right into the giant monster, the summoner declares it's upgrade time. A crazy purple energy storm pops off instantly, covering the whole beast. The system gives the thumbs up on the buff, pinging that the skeleton boar just ranked up to Beast General. Checking out the sick new character model, the kid is shook seeing the monster's combat power is pushing 2,000. Super happy with the gacha roll, he decides to give his nightmare demon the totally normal name Peppa. Keeping the momentum going, our MC pops the magic incense to boost his XP and upgrade his skeleton mage. Moving fast, he snaps his fingers with total confidence and forces his mob to evolve instantly. The spooky magic floods the area again, turning his basic starter units into absolute nightmare fuel. The glowing HUD announces the mage broke the level cap and hit the boss tier. Staring at his edgy new minion wearing red robes, the student hypes up the cosmetic upgrade and names his new bro Aints. With his squad fully maxed out, the adventurer stretches, ready for the next stage. He starts pushing through the thick forest again, looking to farm some more aggro. Speed walking through the trees, Wei Dao swears he's gonna 100 complete this entire orc map. A little further up, a patrol of brutal minotaurs carrying axes is guarding the zone, growling at the player. Out of nowhere, a massive fireball barrage rains from the sky straight onto the beefy mobs. One of the giant monsters freezes, totally confused about who is spamming spells at them. With zero time to parry, the beast eats the full burst damage and gets launched by the AoE. Running the perfect ambush, the kid points forward and orders his crew to go all out. Raging hard at the cheap shot, the minotaurs raise their heavy weapons and scream for blood. Flexing his dark aura, our MC taunts the mobs, wanting to farm until his inventory is full. The boss retaliates with a brutal magic barrage that heavily punishes the invading squad. 3 hours of straight grinding later, the giant boar is still steamrolling the mobs like it's a tutorial. Noticing the map is clear of bodies, the system pings that he hit the milestone and auto-upgrades his class. A bright light flashes around the kid, while his immortality passive gets a massive buff to its damage redirection. Checking the patch notes, he's totally mind-blown to see that as long as he has enough summons, he's basically in god mode. On top of that, his magic shovel unlocks a crazy skill to dig up old graves and revive the corpses as loyal minions. Resting the shovel on his shoulder, the student chuckles, admitting that new skill is pure toxicity. Suddenly, a fast projectile shoots out of the thick bushes. The arrow cuts through the air at crazy speed, aimed right at the kid's exposed back. Catching the aggro out of the corner of his eye, he turns his head, sensing the jump scare. But his ping is too high to dodge, and he takes the hit straight to the chest, getting launched by the impact. A few yards away, one of his skeleton mages literally explodes, eating the fatal damage from the sneak attack. The kid's character model rolls hard through the grass with the arrow sticking right out of him. But he just stands right back up, the arrow falls off, and his HP bar hasn't even dropped a single point. Scanning the zone with a death stare, our guy exhales, super glad his auto shield works perfectly. Hyped by the surprise stat check, he celebrates that his damage-sharing passive is completely broken. Realizing someone just shot his boss, the giant bone boar lets out an ear-splitting rage roar. The heavy tank charges like a freight train through the tall grass, hunting the camper hiding in the trees. Showing off crazy iframes, a massive minotaur jumps midair, dodging the heavy charge by a pixel. Knowing this isn't a basic NPC, the kid triggers his scan skill instantly. The HUD doxes the mob as Yason, a terrifying minotaur boss rocking the elite sniper class. The student goes wide-eyed, shocked that the mob actually has AI and a real class build. Giving the player zero time to think, the giant boss snipes another heavy arrow through the air. With the projectile sinking into his shoulder, the kid staggers back, groaning from the heavy knockback. The arrow pixelates into dust, while he realizes that shot would send him straight to the respawn screen without his passive. Seeing the target still standing, the massive boss drops his guard and rushes in for melee. Totally confident, Wei Dao announces the enemy's turn is over and it's time for his ultimate. The beast freezes, looking super confused at the tiny human acting so cocky. In a flash, the kid pops his sprint, totally disappearing from the sniper's line of sight. The guy orders his spooky squad to tactical retreat, saying he isn't obligated to take this boss fight right now. Triggered by the player running away, the boss stomps the ground and starts a crazy chase through the woods. Up ahead, the bone boar is drifting through the dirt, while the boss screams at them to stop kiting him. The student hits the brakes hard when he runs straight into the entrance of a massive stone dungeon. Creeping into the dark zone, he gets a jump scare when he trips over a random skeleton on the floor. Curious about the map design, the summoner thinks it's sketchy that there are so many human remains in this creepy room. The pile of bones literally covers the floor, making the path look like pure nightmare fuel. Suddenly, the kid's eyes go wide as he realizes he walked straight into a massive trap. With a deafening crash, giant rocks drop from the ceiling, blocking the exit in seconds. In the pitch black, dozens of red glowing eyes pop up, totally aggroed and ready to gank. Not even sweating it, Wei Dao starts slow clapping, praising the AI for pulling off a sick ambush. Popping his shadow magic to the max, he announces to the lobby that he isn't getting wiped that easily. A massive wave of minotaurs jumps out of the shadows screaming, crashing into his front line. A literal storm of heavy arrows rains down, forcing his skeleton tanks to just eat the damage. The mages take heavy chip damage as the physical hits punch right through their magic shields. Chilling in the middle of the crossfire, the kid points out the enemy's weapon durability will hit 0 way before his army drops. Calling the counterattack, he points forward and tells his squad to nuke these tryhards back to the Stone Age. Fire spells carpet bomb the zone, causing a brutal massacre lit up by purple flames. The mobs get roasted with zero mercy, while the kid's HUD gets spammed with a ton of XP notifications. A holy light beam drops from the ceiling, confirming he leveled up to 12 right in the middle of the raid. Pushing through the smoke, the giant boss shows up again, swinging a massive axe right at the player. Raging hard after seeing his guild get wiped, the boss trashes the kid for being so cocky. Ready for the 1v1, Wei Dao is just happy that dropping this elite boss is gonna give him a massive XP drop. Ticked off by the disrespect, the giant minotaur boss points and tells his squad to delete the guy. Instantly, pillars of purple magic shoot out of the floor, landing a critical hit on the monster. The beast screams in pain while the bone mages spam fire attacks at it without stopping. Blinded by rage, the tank jumps up with his heavy axe and tells the kid to go to the underworld. The kid just stares at the fatal attack, casually letting the boss know he's getting buried next. With a massive crash, the beast slams the weapon into the floor, launching a huge shockwave. Through the dust, a bony hand pops out, catching the boss's weapon like it's nothing. The minotaur rages, realizing his weapon is completely stuck in the skeleton's grip. Protected by his elite mage, Wei Dao smirks and says it's game over. Refusing to take the L, the beast growls and charges up fire magic in his free hand. But before he can cast, the giant bone boar spits fire straight into his face. Using the stun, the kid jumps and drops a heavy attack with his shovel right on the boss's head. The magic weapon hitting the boss's skull triggers a blinding critical flash. Unable to parry the combo, the leader gets completely swallowed by a brutal magic nuke. The system pops the victory screen and dings level 13, while the kid praises his squad's DPS. Spinning the shovel, the summoner declares it's time to show off his real gaming skills. Instantly, dozens of loot orbs pop out of the new graves, lighting up the whole cave. The kid is hyped about the massive loot drop, scoring incense and even a shiny battle axe. Holding his new weapon, he laughs, realizing he's basically printing money now. Out of nowhere, fast arrows snipe through the air straight at the AFK player. A sketchy white-haired minotaur smirks, claiming he's been camping for this moment. Showing off his iframes, our MC dashes backward, dodging the skill shots completely. Curious about the gank, he stares at the heavy arrows stuck in the stone floor. The sniper's eyes go wide, shook that the target dodged his ambush so casually. Pointing a finger, the kid trolls the mob, asking if it really thought he was out of mana. The skeleton mob respawns, and the kid sarcastically apologizes for ruining the beast's clip. Confused, the sniper asks how a level 1 summoner can run such a massive pet build. Flexing his boss aura, Wei Dao asks his own question, wanting to know why this NPC is talking to him. Out of patience, the human tells his squad to delete this cocky cow. The undead mages rush in completely feral, glowing with blue fire to carry out the command. Seeing the swarm push in, the sniper warns the player not to celebrate too early. The monster lets out a massive roar while the skulls spam fireballs at him. A huge explosion completely wipes the map, instantly canceling the skeleton's spells. Using the opening, the beast draws his bow and pops his Earth Arrow ultimate. The glowing shot cuts through the air insanely fast, packed with massive AoE damage. Mid-flight, the arrow splits into a bunch of magic lasers that crash into the ground super hard. Panicking, Wei Dao realizes a second too late that this is a carpet bomb spell. The storm of glowing arrows wrecks the zone, shattering the stone all over the map. With zero chance to block, the squishy pets get absolutely deleted by the broken spell. Dashing away, the summoner calls his boar and elite mage to tank the front line. Answering the summon, the massive bone beast charges in with a terrifying roar. The sniper is shook by how fast the monster is closing the gap. In a split second, the brutal bone beast lands a heavy tackle right on the target. The white-haired minotaur tries to parry, but knows his stamina bar is gonna break. Going all out, the boar crushes the sniper into the floor, triggering a massive damage wave. The heavy hit makes the minotaur spit HP juice and let out a scream of pure pain. Right then, the red mage floats right next to the downed boss, charging a spell point blank. With zero chill, the skull jams the fireball straight into the injured beast's face. The blast pumps into the monster's body, making his chest glow super bright. The energy overloads and detonates, setting off a fatal nuke that lights up the whole room. Watching the dust settle, the kid clicks his tongue, kinda bummed about how that ended. The guy crouches next to the downed boss and notices the beast still has 1 HP left. Even though he really wants to bury the guy for loot, he decides to turn the mob over to the admins so they can patch this broken AI. Miles away at the portal hub, the guards think it's weird the players are taking so long to extract. Right then, the military base's massive magic circle starts glowing like crazy. A huge magic vortex takes over the platform, spooking all the NPCs nearby. Slowly, the epic army of bone mages marches out of the portal. The soldiers point at the light, super relieved somebody finally made it out. The kid steps out with his squad, and a guard instantly recognizes his gamer tag. Absolutely floored, the guards stare at the massive pile of minotaur, drops the kid just dumped in the lobby. Walking up to the officer, Wei Dao explains that a rogue boss camped the students inside the cave. The guard goes wide-eyed and says he's calling the high-level mods to wipe the server. Showing zero respect, he dumps the knocked-out sniper straight onto the concrete floor. Pointing at the tied-up mob, the summoner says they don't need to freak out about it. The soldier's jaw drops, asking if the kid actually soloed a level 16 boss. Acting like it's just another Tuesday, the kid asks where the nearest vendor is to dump his loot. Still processing the glitch in the matrix, the guard points to the trading hub right down the road. The student says thanks and dips, leaving the soldiers completely shook. Walking into the shop, the kid greets the NPC behind the counter super casually. He empties his inventory, dumping a massive pile of horns on the desk for her to appraise. The worker gets a huge jump scare from the literal mountain of loot dropped all at once. Checking the stats carefully, she guarantees the whole stack will fetch over 320,000 gold. Grinning like a maniac, the kid holds up his phone, demanding the direct deposit right now. The bank app dings instantly, confirming the massive payout just hit his account. With his pockets full, he walks out feeling great, deciding to head back to the black market for some upgrades. Strolling through the afternoon sun, the kid reaches the entrance of the massive trade building. The guy crosses his fingers, hoping he doesn't run into that scammer from last time. Right on cue, old man Zhang pops out of nowhere, calling him bro and asking if he was looking for him. Having zero patience for the guy, Wei Dao asks why he keeps spawning in his face. The summoner tells the NPC to back off, claiming his inventory is empty right now. Tailing the kid, the hustler tells him to chill and offers to show him some premium drops. Without stopping, the kid rejects the trade request, swearing he isn't buying anything. Pretending to be sad, Zhang flashes a skill book and a potion, crying about how these god-tier items won't find a good home. Hearing that, the kid slams the brakes and turns around to check out the mystery loot. The UI tags the items as an elite guard summon manual and a magic potion, leaving the kid shook by their rarity. Instantly, Wei Dao steps up to the vendor, asking for the price tag on the bundle. Seizing the moment, the boomer smirks and reminds the kid he literally just said he was free to play today. Blushing, the kid changes his tune, saying he's willing to swipe his card if the stats are actually good. Then he dumps a massive pile of weapons and heavy shields right on the street. The scammer checks out the mid-tier gear and offers 150,000 for the lot. Triggered by the lowball, the kid grabs an axe and warns him just this weapon goes for 100 grand, telling him to stop trolling. The merchant steps back, surprised the noob learned the market meta so fast. Smooth talking, the old guy prices the manual at 50 grand and the potion at 150, offering a straight swap. The kid accepts the trade immediately, snatching the shiny new items from the vendor. Zhang drops one last tip, telling the player to stop showing off his loadout to randoms so easily. Thinking it over, the summoner admits the guy is an absolute god at trading. The boomer waves goodbye, telling the kid to slide back whenever his inventory is full. Chilling with his pets, Wei Dao admits that even though the guy is a scammer, his shop inventory is top tier. In a dark alley nearby, a sketchy dude is tracking the kid and celebrating that he finally caught him AFK. The peeker swears that if the kid wants to cry about getting wiped, he should blame himself for aggroing the wrong guild. Making zero noise, the guy equips a magic dagger that glows bright blue. The hitman sprints right at the kid's back, charging up his finisher. Sensing the killing intent, the kid snaps his head around, asking who is trying to gank him. The rogue attacks, screaming that the Cayenne Guild paid a fortune for his bounty. The fatal strike lands dead on a skeleton mage that body blocked the hit for the boss. Flashing a wicked grin, the merc tells the kid to go straight to the Shadow Realm. The blue blade slices the air, landing a heavy critical on the kid's back, dropping a bunch of HP juice on the pavement. Standing behind the student, the attacker sheathes his weapon, complaining this bounty was way too easy. Defying the script, Wei Dao grabs the assassin's shoulder with a crazy strong grip. The dude turns around absolutely terrified, unable to process how the kid didn't get one shot. Holding a sharp blade, the kid warns him he'd rather keep this little PvP match quiet. In a lethal counter, the kid jams his knife straight into the hitman's neck without hesitating. The merc gets knocked back by the critical hit, spitting up HP juice and totally shook by the counter. Dropping to the dirty floor, the assassin breathes his last, calling the lag totally unfair. The system logs the kill on a level 39 human player, dumping 30,000 XP into his account. Staring at the epic dagger in his hand, the summoner realizes he never thought his first PvP kill would be a real player. Hours pass and the server goes to night mode, lighting up the empty zone with a silver moon. After finishing the grave in the woods, the kid loots magic potions, weird herbs, and some sketchy paper money. Holding the bizarre drops, he is completely mind-blown to find out that PvP graves drop totally different loot tables. Staring at the bill with a skull on it, the kid wonders where he's supposed to spend underworld currency. A bunch of ghosts start floating around the cache, instantly unlocking the dark web shop system. A massive green hologram pops out of the ground, showing the kid a crazy secret catalog. The young gamer stares at the giant screen, totally hyped about the ghost market UI. The magic shop shows off manuals for literal nukes that cost hundreds of millions of ghost bucks. The shadow shop also stocks op staffs in god-tier armor with totally pay-to-win price tags. Staring at his single $10 bill, the student rages, asking what he's supposed to buy with this pocket change. With no other option, the kid closes the shop, realizing he's gotta grind his ghost wallet from scratch. Moving on, he charges purple mana in his hands, focusing on upgrading his bone tank first. He casts the spell on the grass, lighting up the summoning circle with a massive flash. A bone warrior rocking a heavy metal shield steps out of the magic, waiting for pings. Checking the stats, the MC confirms this unit is pure tank material. Wasting no time, the kid slaps his glowing hand on the skeleton's forehead and triggers the evolution spell. The buff turns the basic mob into a massive bone boss wearing heavy black armor. Checking the new stats, the kid is hyped about the monster's massive HP pool, swearing he just unlocked the ultimate meat shield. Super happy with his new tank, he names the unit Little Kiang while the beast lets out a scary growl. Holding the glowing purple flask, Wei Dao says it's time to test the upgrade juice on his boss mage. The kid dumps the magic potion right onto his spooky summon's red robes. The mob glitches out and morphs into a Grim Reaper model holding a massive death scythe. The summoner checks the monster's crazy soul power and swears it's gonna be the MVP of his next raid. Hyped about his squad's new combat power, the kid stretches his arms and logs off to go sleep at home. Hiding in the trees, the boomer neighbor watches the whole thing, shook that the kid just folded a pro peeker. The next morning, the sun shines on the massive, pay-to-win mansion of the genius girl's family. Inside the meeting room, the old man reports to the guild leader that he saw the kid delete a Tier 3 assassin. Sweating bullets, the scout leaks that the kid even buried the body and started talking to his own pets like a weirdo. Confused by the buggy report, the guild leader wonders why the kid wasted time digging a grave for a peeker. The old man insists the kid doesn't need a carry and that the young miss is being way too paranoid. The leader argues his daughter wants to earn her rank legitimately and would never let someone else steal her kill. The boss orders the scout to keep tracking the kid until he hits the university zone, where the server admins will actually protect him. A few hours later, the massive portal boots up, shooting magic lightning across the thick forest floor. Wei Dao steps through the rift, hyped to 100 complete the rest of the orc map he missed last time. Speedrunning through the trees, Wei Dao is locked in to clear the entire orc base. A little further ahead, a massive mob of minotaurs is clustered around a sketchy altar in the middle of the woods. Hiding behind a tree, the kid watches the event, thinking the spawn pattern is super weird. The HUD flags a minotaur chief priest, getting the kid hyped about the magic-type boss. He instantly realizes the sniper kited him away last time just to guard this summon ritual. Smelling the aggro, the boss sniffs the air and pings that there's an intruder on the map. Ticked off that his ritual got interrupted, the boss orders his guild to CC the player right now. Answering the call, the minotaurs raise their axes and charge in, kicking up a massive dust cloud. Keeping it cool, the MC summons Little Kiang and orders his ultimate defense to block the rush. A massive wall of purple shields spawns instantly right in front of the summoner. The mobs smash their axes into the magic wall, but the bone shield eats the damage without losing a pixel. Using the block, Wei Dao calls in Mage Aints and gives the green light to start the DPS phase. A massive firestorm rains down on the mobs, triggering a huge explosion that launches all of them. Shook by the wipe, the priest wonders how his squad got deleted so easily. Raging hard, the boss charges a deep red aura, prepping a heavy ultimate. The beast throws his arms up, begging the server to give him the mana to crush the noob. But a giant skeleton foot stomps the ground, canceling the beast's cast animation instantly. Our guy orders Peppa to go all out, leaving the priest absolutely terrified. The massive bone boar lands a brutal tackle right into the boss's hitbox. Thanks to the heavy knockback, the Minotaur leader gets launched and hits the dirt hard. The giant boar rushes in for the finisher while the monster begs for mercy in chat. With zero chill, the beast stomps the priest with its front hooves, kicking up dust everywhere. The system drops the GG, handing over 20,000 XP for the boss kill. Covered in a golden level-up beam, the kid dings level 14 and feels the stat boost. Walking up to the loot drop, he thinks it's awesome the boss dropped its gear before he even dug the grave. The HUD shows the reward is a premium advanced meditation manual. Holding the floating book, the kid smiles like crazy, calling the drop absolute god-tier loot. Wasting zero time, he clicks learn and absorbs the manual's data instantly. A bright flash lights up the kid's brain as the spell gets permanently added to his hotbar. Curious about the buff, the summoner sits cross-legged on the floor, deciding to test the AFK farming skill. The spell starts feeding him massive passive XP, making the kid hit level 15 almost instantly. Amazed by the broken passive, he swears he can just AFK in his base until exam day. Happy with his dungeon run, the kid walks back through the portal to the hub. A few days pass smoothly on the real server under the bright afternoon sun. AFK in his room, the kid stays locked in, abusing his new skill to farm XP. The kid opens his glowing eyes, realizing the big server-wide exam day is finally here. Bursting with mana, the guy stands up, announcing it's time to show off his real stats. The massive stadium at Qingyang First Academy fills up to host the biggest esports event of the year. In the stands, the students gossip, trying to guess what kind of mobs the devs spawn for the test. On the platform, the admin takes the mic, announcing the exam mobs are loaded in. He explains the target's scale from level 10 to 20, split between normal trash mobs and deadly bosses. The guy points at a student, telling him to pick his difficulty setting based on his gear score. Using the mic, the admin officially calls the first player, Liu Ming, to start his run. Moving super fast, the sword main jumps and sticks the superhero landing right in the arena. The kid demands to solo 10 normal minotaurs and 1 level 15 boss. The second the mob wave spawns, the admin signals the player can engage whenever. Ready for the raid, Liu Ming pops his Crimson Eye armor buff. The kid's model gets totally covered by the red defensive aura, flexing a massive pressure stat. He pulls out a glowing red sword, and the crowd instantly spots the pay-to-win gear. A guy in the crowd mentions the sword buff's DPS and that the rich kid dropped 50 grand on it. Hearing that, Wei Dao gets super salty, realizing that Scammer bought his exact same weapon for literal pennies. Wasting no time, the player dashes at crazy speed, launching a super fast combo. Leaving a red trail, he zips across the whole map, slicing the mobs perfectly. The guy stops his dash, sliding across the arena floor after landing his final hit. Acting like an absolute edgelord, the kid tells the mobs to detonate, and they all shatter right behind him. The scoreboard updates while the admin calls time, tagging Su Xiaojing to step up next. An epic holy sword drops from the sky and stabs right into the stadium floor. Grabbing the weapon like a pro, the girl shocks the lobby by requesting a 1v5 against level 20 goblin bosses. The crowd goes wild, wondering if the angel class is really that busted. Chilling in the back, our MC smirks, knowing the school idol only picked that difficulty to flex on him. A bunch of green spawn flashes pop up, dropping the deadly mobs right into the arena. The aggro goblins raise their spears and taunt the solo player. Not even flinching, the girl pops her angel wings, dropping a holy flashbang that blinds everyone. Popping a heavy jump, she hovers elegantly right over the stunned mobs. The warrior swings her massive sword, launching a pure holy energy wave. The giant golden slash tears up the arena floor, pushing forward with insane damage. With zero chance to parry, all 5 bosses get completely deleted in one shot. In the stands, the boys are shaking, absolutely shook by the instant wipe. Super hyped, the admin screams into the mic that she scored 300 points, setting a new server record. The crowd loses its mind, hyping up the school idol's broken DPS. Walking past the summoner, the girl warns him it's time for him to take the... In the VIP section, a suit congratulates old Wang on his players and brings up the hidden class kid. Looking smug, the principal says he's betting it all on that kid's stats. Curious, the rival asks what difficulty setting the summoner is gonna queue up for. Thinking about it, Wang guesses if the kid actually grinded, taking on 10 bosses should be light work. Hearing that cap, director Meng roasts his rival, pointing out the arena only fits 5 bosses max, let alone 10. Looking super confident, old Wang just smirks and tells him to watch the stream. Right after, the admin on stage gets on the mic, hyping up Wei Dao to take the stage next. While the kid casually walks down the ramp, Su Xiaojing slides up asking for a quick favor. The guy gets the quest and promises to stop sandbagging, as long as she swears to carry his family as payment. In the stands, the chat goes crazy, triggered that he has the guts to ask the school idol for a favor in front of the whole server. Without hesitating, the girl accepts the terms as long as he actually beats her score, and the guy takes the bet instantly, telling her to watch this. With the deal locked in, the kid steps onto the ramp heading to the PvP zone. He walks heavy into the middle of the massive empty arena, ready to start his speedrun. Flexing max confidence, the summoner points at the ceiling and demands to fight 100 level 20 slime bosses all at once. The admin totally blue screens at the insane request and asks his headset if he heard that crazy number right. The crowd totally loses it, calling the player a troll, saying his stamina bar would zero out just trying to hit that many mobs. Worried the kid is gonna get wiped, the admin gives him a chance to dodge the queue, but the kid says he's locked in. Acting super toxic, the guy adds that the only reason he didn't ask for 200 bosses is because the map is too small. Facepalming hard, Meng complains about the noob's ego, while Wang tells them to just spawn the mobs so they don't ruin the kid's vibe. Unable to deny the queue request, the admin sighs, takes the L, and tells the kid to watch his HP bar. Instantly, dozens of massive blue magic circles start rendering all over the arena floor. A giant bubbling slime drops in hard, kicking up a massive dust cloud in the spawn zone. Ready to brawl, Wei Dao covers his hands in ghost fire, telling his shadow squad to exit stealth mode. Wrapped in edgy energy, the giant red-robed skull spawns in, leading a whole squad of bone mages. Next, the massive skeleton boar spawns in screaming, ready to jump scare anything on the map. The students are shaking in their boots, spotting boss and general tier pets, completely shook by the guy's broken build. The arena fills up fast with dozens of jelly bosses jumping aggressively at the solo player. Moving quick, the summoner orders his front line to body block the enemy's acid AoE. The squad executes perfectly, throwing up an unbreakable wall of heavy shields. Behind the god-tier shield, the mage squad charges their dark spells, waiting for the attack ping. A literal storm of fireballs rains from the sky, bombing the slimes and setting off massive nukes in the arena. Abusing his numbers advantage, the kid points forward, ordering his high-tier pets to push in and secure the kills. The op-red mage and the giant tank dash across the map at crazy speed to wipe the remaining jellas. Leading the charge, the bone boar bulldozes the bosses, splashing acid goo everywhere. The heavy impact triggers a massive critical, instantly turning the beasts to ash. Giving them zero chance to escape, the special skull spins his giant scythe, slicing a slime perfectly in half with lethal precision. Shook by the absolute sweep, the students agree those level 20 mobs don't even have the stats to counterattack. Watching the wipe, Su Xiaojing sweats bullets, finally realizing this was the op build her rival was bragging about. With his back to a literal firewall, Wei Dao T-poses and declares that true art is an explosion. A deafening chain of critical hits wipes the whole arena, shooting massive fire pillars all the way to the roof. The system finally dings, confirming the 100-boss wipe and locking in the end of his exam run. Completely speechless, the admins realize they just watched a new meta drop live at their school. The big screen flashes a perfect score of 900 points, while the admin screams the flawless run into the mic. With the absolute W confirmed, the whole stadium erupts in cheers, hyping up the kid's crazy gaming chair. In the middle of the hyped crowd, Qian Zhao punches the air, raging uncontrollably. The sword main grinds his teeth, super salty, refusing to accept that this trash-tier player is actually this broken. Right after leaving the lobby, the kid bumps into the prodigy girl, saying GG and asking about their bet. Getting serious, he drops the lore that he's worried his rival's toxic guild might grief his family after he logs off to college. Understanding the server politics, the VIP girl looks at the guy and asks what he wants her to do about it. Putting his hands together, Wei Dao asks her to let his family crash at her base and send some guards, swearing he'll pay her back later. Checking the quest difficulty, the girl promises that carrying a few NPCs is basically AFK work for her. Relieved to get that debuff off his mind, the kid steps up and gives his rival a huge hug, showing total appreciation. Caught off guard, the school idol turns completely red, while some random simp in chat screams he's gonna delete the summoner for touching her. Hours later, after the massive server hype dies down, the starry night covers the glowing city. Chilling in his quiet room, the kid sits at his PC, totally locked in on the glowing screen. He punches his login info into the official state database to finally check his global rank. Suddenly, the doorbell gets spammed, ruining the guy's focus. Jumping out of his gaming chair, the kid walks down the hall yelling that he's coming. He grabs the doorknob hard, asking out loud who's trying to party invite him this late. Yanking the door open, he gets a huge jump scare seeing his parents and little sister standing in the lobby. The little girl puffs her cheeks, complaining about the lag and accusing her bro of doing sketchy stuff locked in his room. Totally hyped about the surprise spawn, our MC laughs, admitting he didn't expect them to fast travel here so quick. The family walks into the base super happy, and the dad says they logged on right after they got his call. Super nosy about the gamer's setup, the little sister rushes straight to his PC, trying to see what tabs he had open. Staring at the glowing monitor, the girl goes wide-eyed, totally shook by what she sees. The webpage shows an insane high score of 975, locking in the #1 spot on the entire state leaderboard. Shaking with hype, the little sister turns around screaming that he actually got the highest score on the whole server. Flashing a cocky smirk, the kid pats his sister's head, saying that was just a casual run for him. Triggered by the flex, she gives him a death stare and swears she's gonna break his high score when it's her turn to play. Blown away by the crazy stats, the parents ask which god-tier guild he's gonna join with that rank. Totally locked in, Wei Dao shares that his main quest was always getting into the Madu Professional University. The kid drops the news he's transferring servers in a few days, telling his family to stay safe under the Su Guild's protection. Patting his son on the shoulder super proud, the dad promises they'll be safe and tells him to watch out for griefers in the big city. Already feeling the nostalgia, the kid gives his parents a massive hug, sharing an emotional AFK goodbye. A few days go by, and the massive buildings of the elite university finally pop up glowing in the morning sun. Walking through the modern campus, the summoner checks out the crowded lobby, mapping out the new zone in his head. Holding his precious admission pass, the noob looks super focused, ready to start this new expansion pack. But the spawn point is totally toxic, as two high-level players tell him to go wait in the corner. Right then, a totally stunning girl with long black hair rolls up with a suitcase, politely introducing herself as the noob Nanjai. Acting like total simps, the two veterans start drooling over the new girl, hyping up her god-tier character model. One of them instantly offers to carry her loot, and she just gives a polite thanks. Annoyed by the VIP treatment, Wei Dao complains, muttering that he queued up first and got totally ignored. Acting like the MC doesn't exist, the pink-haired veteran walks off with Nanjai, promising to show her the whole map. Suddenly, a chubby noob spawns in running like crazy, carrying a massive green duffel bag. He hits the brakes right in front of the pink-haired guy and introduces himself as Pei Kayan. Scanning the admission paper, the veteran trolls him, saying the kid's gamertag is basically a bad luck charm. Wasting no time, the guide tells the noobs to follow him through the hub. Scanning his chubby teammate, the summoner notices the kid's mana pool is actually pretty solid. Curious about the stats, Wei Dao instantly pops his deep scan skill. The UI doxes Pei Kayan as having the Hidden Blood Sacrifice Priest class. Hyped by the leak, the kid realizes his new bro is also rocking a broken build. Wei Dao instantly drops his tag as an undead summoner, making the chubby guy praise the matchmaking RNG. The guy hypes it up saying summoning skulls is sick, but our MC just tries to play it cool. While walking through the campus, the guide explains the dorms are ranked by gear score. Flexing his ego, the veteran brags he got placed in Sector 4, getting hyped up by the chubby kid. The squad finally reaches the front desk, where NPC Chin is waiting to process the noobs. Taking charge, the guide tells the three freshmen to hand over their ID cards ASAP. The three official passes get dropped side by side on the old man's desk. Checking the logs, the admin asks if Nanjai is part of the famous Jijing clan. After she confirms her guild tag, the old man instantly hands her a key to a luxury base in Sector 1. Ticked off by her high-tier placement, the veteran complains to the admin, making the old man super annoyed. Sweating bullets, the pink-haired guy tries to play off the awkward moment in front of the lobby. Getting back to work, the admin drops Wei Dao and Pei Kayan in the same room in Sector 2. Totally shook, the guide can't believe these two randoms also got high-tier placements. Walking away from the desk, the chubby noob spots some weird aggro nearby. Super hyped, Pei Kayan points forward, announcing that the server idol Su Xiaojing is also loaded into this map. Hearing the noise, the warrior turns her head and instantly spots her rival. Wasting zero time, the chubby kid runs up trying to shoot his shot with the girl. Completely ignoring the guy, she walks straight up to our MC demanding to know his room coordinates. Left on read, the chubby guy sighs, guessing the girl is already simping for his bro. Wei Dao just drops his dorm number, pointing out that spawning next to each other is pure irony. Happy with the intel, the prodigy turns around and says peace out to her rival. Right then, the summoner notices another NPC rolling up and asks who she is. A super classy lady wearing a hat smoothly introduces herself as Wang Xiaoya, the new summoning coach. Keeping the good vibes, she guesses he's the famous sweaty noob everyone's talking about. Without any warning, the coach flicks the kid right on the forehead, saying she expects him to carry hard. The player rubs his head, totally confused by the NPC's random aggro. Tapping his shoulder lightly, the woman reminds him the launch party is tomorrow night. Radiating good energy, the mentor waves and casually walks away across the courtyard. The two noobs just stand there thinking all that hype was totally extra. Watching from afar, Su Xiaojing rolls her eyes in disgust, calling all the guys total creeps. Out of absolutely nowhere, a violent purple energy implodes, spawning a massive tornado in the sky. The players in the zone start panicking, trying to figure out what that terrifying skybox glitch is. Looking closely, a campus guard sweats bullets realizing a corrupted dungeon just opened up. The guy runs down the street panicking, yelling that he needs to tell the boss about the threat ASAP.